Hello everyone, I'm Jason Holden-Jones, and this is the fifth and final round of the South African simGT C leg of the GT Championship at the Mosport circuit in Canada. And, big welcome to Daniel Haynes. Hi Daniel.
Yeah, good evening everyone. Nice to be here. It's a sad night really though, the last round of Assetto Corsa. It's done us proud for so long. So yeah, a bit of a shame, but we've got an exciting race, I think, still ahead of us.
Yeah, I think so. And we've got one crazy championship battle on our hands for this AC leg of the South African simGT series. It is between Devin Lisher and Nick Hodgson. So at the moment, we can have a look at the championship points quickly, just to illustrate what I'm talking about. And at the moment, Nick Hodgson has got 147 drivers' championship points, and Devin Lisher has 144. And if Devin Lisher is to win this championship, if he had to, let's say, if he had to win, Nick Hodgson had to come second and finish tie on 194 points each. Nick Hodgson would win the championship with his 2 victories over Devin Lisher's 1. So really, if Devin is to win this championship, beat Nick, he needs to win, and Nick Hodgson needs to finish 3rd or lower. That's what to play for this evening.
Yeah, so you can't get much closer than that really. I think it's probably going to be between those two. They've been right up there all season, switching places. So Lisher and Hodgson is the 2 guys we're looking out for. Nick Hodgson's had a couple of excellent rounds, hasn't he? And last round out, he had all the answers needed, didn't he? So Lisher couldn't quite keep with him. So let's see whether he can keep up his form this evening and take a well-earned victory. But Lisher's not going to let him run away with it, that's for sure.
No, definitely not. I think we're in for a great race. And as you see,
a new track.
Yeah, a new track as well. You can see it's just 8/1000ths of a second between Lisher and Hodgson at the moment.
Yeah, you can't get any closer than that.
Yeah, the 3rd place car at the moment, Adrian Govender from Point Blank. That's Hodgson's teammate, of course. Further, it's 7 tenths behind. So he's gone a bit quicker now. He was 1.2 seconds slower, but now just 0.8 of the pace.
We got Lisher and Hodgson both up on their deltas. Lisher's actually up by 2 tenths on his delta right now, so there's definitely time still to be had here. 1:15.8 is not going to be enough for pole position, I don't think. They're going to be pushing harder than that. We've got 10 minutes left of qualifying. So Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. From here on out, we will say Mosport like everyone else, because that is a bit of a mouthful. But you've got to get your sponsorship in where you can. I'm sure it pays the track quite handsomely to have Canadian Tire in front of it. But it is actually a very, very good circuit. I've done quite a few races here in other sims. Very fast flowing circuit with one incredibly difficult corner. It's corner 5, which is a double apex with a downhill braking zone called Moss Corner. So that's where we're looking out for, certainly where I have most difficulties on this circuit. The rest is pretty straightforward, to be honest, just making sure you take your lines and stick to them. But Moss Corner can really be a problem. It's sort of like an off-camber, very bumpy, can unsettle the car. I've had a few accidents there, I'm going to be the first to admit. So keep an eye out for that one. It's corner 5A and 5B. There we go, Lisher is gone much quicker, 1:15.499. So he finished that lap well up on his delta. Something puts a bit of daylight between him and Nick Hodgson, who's 3 tenths back in 2nd place. Adrian Govender in 3rd position, followed by Kieran Patterson, Neil Berger to finish out the top 5. There's quite a big gap between Hodgson and Govender at the moment, so those front 2 runners, as we've seen for the last few rounds, have certainly got a bit of time over the rest of the field. They're going to take a lot to try and unsettle those 2, and if Nick Hodgson only needs to finish in the top 2 to take this championship, he doesn't necessarily need to go too silly. He should be able to, without mistakes, get a second place at least, which would be sufficient, as Jason said earlier. So that's where we're going to be keeping a close eye on, as well as obviously throughout the field, strategy calls. It's going to be a good last race in Assetto Corsa, hopefully a bit of a swan song to see out this fantastic sim that has been so good to us for the last few years. In GT3 at least, I'm sure it will continue in other forms, but in GT3.
Of course, we have the South African simGP series, of course, which is enjoying a resurgence of interest. And I myself took part in the Division 2 race last weekend. I'll tell you what, that Formula 3 car is absolutely magic. That was developed by Racing Studio.
Can someone just get a timestamp on how long it's taken Jason to mention his Division 2 win in GP?
I did not say win, you said that.
Okay, well, I'll mention it. Jason handily won Division 2 GP, and it's 3 minutes into the stream, but very, very well done. It's making me get itchy feet. I might have to return to the circuit soon. If only to race you, Jason.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, it was fantastic mixing up with drivers like Mark van Rensburg, and to take the victory with him right on my diffuser when I crossed the line. It was quite a rush, I must say, and I certainly have.
Also, it's close then.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. And,
good stuff.
Big thank you to Ryan Hill for all the good work he's doing in running that championship. It's really doing well and going from strength to strength.
I'm concerned I might be on my own in a commentary booth soon because you'll be too eager to get out in the cars. Now you've had a taste of victory once more.
Yeah, I certainly have missed it, and yeah, I'm looking for some more. But not to worry, Dan, you'll have me in the GT series commentary booth.
Yeah, well, it's just too much fun, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay, we're just over 6 minutes remaining now. Lisha leads the way by just, 2.5 tenths, just under that.
Yeah, Hodgson's improved actually, hasn't he? And Edwin Gummerdo has also improved. So, yeah, Hodgson's still got a little bit more to give, I think. Still plenty of time, 5 minutes to go. And it's a short lap, isn't it? Only 1:15, so they've got quite a few opportunities to get another flyer in. We're not battling with 47 cars on the grid like ACC. Plenty of space this evening in comparison with only 18 currently running round. Probably the perfect number for this track. Peter Gelnes has just popped up into 4th position. I was wondering where he was. Usually right up there, and he's up there again. I'm sure he'll miss this GT Assetto Corsa. It's been a favourite of his, I know.
Yeah, we've had Nick Hodgson in the BMW GT3, I think, since the starting of racing at Sim Race South Africa. So,
yeah, I wonder whether he have to hand over his keys at the end of this race. He'd be reluctant to do that, wouldn't he? Dirkie Swanepoel up to 3rd. So it's very tight in the 3rd to sort of 7th positions, isn't it? Only a 10th between them. So a lot of shuffling around still going on in qualifying.
It's not over yet, it would seem. And a big welcome to everybody in the YouTube live chat. See a lot of people rooting there for Melbourne Coast and many other drivers. Big welcome to everybody. And some of the commenters to say how our audio is doing. Someone did say that I was a bit too soft, which I've changed now, so hopefully that's a bit better.
Nice to see a few fans in the chat rooting guys on. It's always good. No doubt there's been a lot of practice being put in before this race. So they'll appreciate the support. So you see Devonish pushing it way too much and going off track. No, that was Dirkie Swanepoel, sorry.
Okay, Martin, hopefully I'm a bit louder now. I'm assuming he's saying that I'm too soft. So I'll change it again. Nicholas Kent saying Devon number 1.
He is indeed number 1, 2 tenths in it, but we've got Nick Hodgson at the moment, who is 2.5 tenths up on his best delta, so this could be incredibly close. It's not over yet. Nick's on a flyer. In fact, he's sufficient now for pole position if he can just finish as he is. Through a tricky section, he's losing time, he's lost a tenth. It's not going to be enough. He needs to have a really good final corner. Hasn't had a great final corner, so he has improved by 1.5 tenths, and it puts him within 1/10 of Devon Lisher, but he just lost it in the last 2 corners there. He had enough to get pole position at a point. He'll be keen to reset and have a go again with 2.5 minutes remaining.
And Hodgson was back to the pits and immediately got going again. He's got just over 2 minutes remaining to get around. It should be enough time. It's quite a short lap here at Mosport.
See, Devon Lisher thinks he's done enough. He's in the pits and he's got medium tyres on. He's prepping for the race already, so he's happy with his lap. So it's all down to Nick Hodgson and whether he can improve. I think he's got it in him. The time was there.
So all eyes on Nick Hodgson now.
Yeah, Lisher's had enough. He's happy with his time. He's setting up for the race already. Nick Hodgson's still pushing. He knows he's got the time there. Not much separating these two for the last 3 or 4 rounds, is it? Well, the whole season, it's so close. I would love to know how many hours Nick Hodgson spent in that BMW Z4. It must be quite monumental. His content manager's stats for how many kilometres he's driven with that car, I would love to. I'm going to have to ask him for that if he's got it.
I think it is a screenshot from him.
Thousands of kilometres, I reckon, has been covered in that Z4. Very well used at this point. I think he's done more kilometres in that than my wife's done in hers.
Yeah, we don't see the Z4 GT3 in ACC, of course. It's replaced by the BMW M6.
Yeah, which is not proven to be very popular, is it? We haven't got any in our series. So for whatever reason, it's not very popular. The M8 in iRacing is immensely popular. I think it's been a bit OP yet, actually. But yeah, for whatever reason, the M6 in ACC is one of those cars that people have avoided. A little bit like the Porsche in Assetto Corsa, though, to be honest, isn't it? And in comparison, ACC, everyone loves the Porsche. So maybe just one of those difficult cars that doesn't really offer anything. I mean, certainly the Z4 in Assetto Corsa has been probably one of the easiest GT3 cars to drive, I think, isn't it? It's very stable and predictable.
Yeah, it's certainly when a new sim race comes to sim race South Africa and says, oh, which car should I choose to get started? Then I'll always say the BMW Z4 GT3.
Yeah, exactly that. Now, obviously, to get it to the times that Nick Hodgson's done, that's a different matter. But if you are learning, then for sure it's one of the cars that is very predictable to drive. So it hasn't been sufficient, but Nick Hodgson has improved on his time again, but still not enough. 8 100ths of a second, or just shy of 9 100ths of a second, separating our top 2 drivers. Very close.
Mark Miguel is going to improve his time. Where will he finish? He goes to 9th, so nice improvement there from 11th position for the Sol McLaren driver. And I think that's qualifying done and dusted. Kieran Patterson up into 5th position. Good improvement by him. Okay, so qualifying is over. It is Devon Lisher who will start from pole position ahead of Nick Hodgson, and we'll be right back after this short break. Don't go away. Welcome back to Mosport. It is Devonshire leading the field away on this formation lap for the Division 1 race this evening. Of course, the Division 2 race coming up on Wednesday evening. And if you're watching this, you want to get involved in the racing, welcome to sign up for that race by going to simracesa.co.za.
So first lap, and we've already got a change from the last few rounds. We've got Nick Hodgson on medium tyres, and he's preferred the soft tyres in that Z4 for the last, well, all season really. But clearly he can't get the softs to work here at Mosport. So we've got Devon Lisher on the mediums, who that's quite familiar, but Nick Hodgson on the mediums. So this is going to be interesting to see whether Nick can stay with Devon at the start. Won't have the advantage of those soft tyres. But it's going to be a one-stop strategy with that tyre choice for sure. Less than a tenth between our front two drivers. So the start's going to be very, very important. Nick will be trying to stay right up behind that Lamborghini as they pass the finish line and get the green light.
Yeah, I think we might see the Lamborghini of Devonshire drive away slightly from Nick Hodgson at the start, but then Hodgson will start coming back towards the middle part of the race and towards the end. And as we see the BMW consistency coming through in Hodgson as well.
So how are you going to call it, Jason? Let's have predictions.
I'm going to say Hodgson's going to win this race in the championship.
Okay. Yeah, I think Hodgson's going to win the championship, but I think he's going to get second position to Devon Lisher this evening. I've just got a feeling with Lisher on the mediums and Nick Hodgson not on the softs. I think that's going to be the difference. But yeah, let's see how we go. So we've got one for Lisher and one for Hodgson. Okay. Maybe one of our chats can put their predictions into chat. Maybe we'll have an outsider. Peter Geldenez is a quick guy in that Lambo as well. Don't put it past him if there's an incident at the start. Yeah. He could quite easily run away.
Here we go now. Devonshire has reached the starter points. Off we go. Across the start line now. Good start there by Lisher. He's covered Hodgson well. We can just look after the cars and cold tyres now through this opening stage. Hodgson's got a good run on Lisher already. It's caught up to him. The BMW hassling the rear diffuser of the Lamborghini, but Lisher with a better exit that time round.
Very difficult. I can't actually see where you overtake easily on this track. Always in a corner. Not many areas where you maybe braking zone into turn 5, but that's the hardest corner on the circuit for sure, which they're just coming into now. Moss corner, double apex, turn 5. Very, very tricky. No incidents I'm seeing anywhere down the field either. So very, very clean driving throughout the field.
Hodgson had a fantastic exit out that last corner. He's right in the slipstream of Lisher. But the Lamborghini just a bit better down these straights.
So this is a flat out section of the track. Technically got 2 corners in it, 6 and 7, but you would never know about it. The problem is there isn't a braking zone. There isn't a tight braking zone at the end. It's a big sweeping corner and Mario Andretti straightway into the S's. So passing's going to be very tricky this evening. You're going to have to wait for a mistake, I feel, if Hodgson's going to make a pass, but he just needs to make sure his BMW's there to capitalise on it. We've complimented Nick all season long about the consistency of his driving and the fact that he hasn't really made any mistakes that have been plagued him a little bit in the past. So let's see whether he can just keep the pressure on and not force it too much. Gear and a few people dropping back.
And then Patterson's at a big off. He's down to 19th.
Or someone in a Porsche has just gone across the grass, a bit of farming as well. Trying to find out who that is.
Dirk Brand also involved in that incident, I think. He's down to 12th position.
I think it was Malvin Goose in the Porsche. He had a good smack against the wall and it's got a bit of damage on that 911. because it's such a quick circuit, if you are trying to make a pass and you take a completely different line to the one you practiced, you can become unstuck very, very quickly. And if you go off track, you're going to be going off at speed. And that's going to give you some damage. So once again, it's only 1/10 between the lap times of Devon Lisher and Nick Hodgson. These two are really split by next to nothing.
Sander Klingenthal off. He's down to 18th position. Joey Jones just ahead of Alan Pedersen. Neil Berger. Mark McGear is off as well. McLaren. So drama here on lap 4.
I think Henry Roux must have dropped back into 13th as well because he qualified.
And Lisher's had an off there, Daniel. He's down to 4th position now.
Oh, if only we had replay. I wasn't on him, unfortunately, no.
We missed that. So, drama here. And
he's got damage on that Lambo as well. Kieran Patterson was just made a mess of turn 5. That Moss corner, I'm telling you, that's going to be a lot of cars making a mistake there this evening. Yeah, Lisher's got damage on that Lambo. Bonnet's up, front bumper's a bit crumpled. He's hit a wall or a car. Well, it's got to be a wall because there's no car. He was in first place. Nick Hodgson's rubbing his hands together. Just what he wanted. He's got clear air. And he's got a 2-second gap to Peter Geldenez in 2nd position now.
Keegan Sanderson asking us a replay of Alan Pedersen's spin. Unfortunately not. If this was ACC, we could do replays, but in AC, it's not possible.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's just the nature of the sim. Yeah, replays are awesome in ACC, and they help the terrible broadcasting that me and Jason do, missing important information. But yeah, I'm sure we can find out what happened.
Got past Calvinez for 2nd now. So the two SRC cars swapping position. And certainly, this has handed the lead to Nick Hodgson. It's very much his to lose at the moment, leading by 3.7 seconds as Alan Patterson has left the server. It's our first DNF this evening.
He's done exactly like we said he had to do though, Nick Hodgson. He didn't want to push it too much at the start. He just needed to make sure that he was there to capitalise, and that's exactly what he's done. Whereas we've seen in past seasons where, certainly at the start of the race, he tends to push things a little bit. Oh, as I say that, he's made a mistake. He's gone into the pit wall.
Oh,
Nick Hodgson's just made a massive off. Massive off. That's going to be damage on that Z4. He's just gone straight into the pit wall. Come round the corner, back end came out, and he just went straight on into the pit wall at speed. And now he's re-entering safely, but right back into 11th, 12th, 13th position. 13th position. Well, there's a bit of commentary curse for you, isn't it?
I'm not quite sure what it is with Nick Hodgson and pit entry walls. That's the 2nd time this season we've seen that.
Yeah, that was
that drove into the Kailami entry as well.
He's gone off again. I think he's got damage on that Z4. I think he's going to have to repair it. So, Dirkie Swanepoel is the new leader of this race at Mosport. Would you believe it? None of us picked him, but he was there or thereabouts. He was in 4th place. Now let's see whether he can... and Devon Lisher's still got a chance here. And don't forget the championship. Devon Lisher's in 2nd place. And at the moment, Nick Hodgson is right the way back. So we're going to have to be furiously working on our calculators to see what whether 2nd place, what position Nick Hodgson needs to finish at, or whether Lisher can be consistent for the rest and maybe take the win of this race. We'll have to wait and see. But very, very interesting to watch now. We got Hodgson down all the way in 15th. I suspect with quite significant damage on that Z4. This could change his strategy completely. Matthew Boy in chat is a bit upset with me, and I can sort of understand why, but I was being extremely... Nick Hodgson's not put a foot wrong all season. So to suddenly be looking at him on stream and on my screen and him making a mistake like that, very uncharacteristic. So yeah, unfortunate that is the case. Hopefully he can, he'll be fighting his way through the field, no doubt. Already made a place on Mike McGear up into 14th now. Sends it up the inside of Leach, gets up to 13th. So Nick Hodgson is a man on the move.
And next up is Sachaba Mashingo in the Porsche. Lovely livery on this Porsche. Wow. Really liking those accents. And Leach has come back at Hodgson, but Hodgson's got him up the inside again.
And Leach has got a replica skin on his as well, hasn't he? That's quite a common one. So yeah, Nick Hodgson, man on the move. He's got to try and gain as many places as possible, bearing in mind that if Devon Lisher wins this race, Nick Hodgson needs to, well, he's got to get second place, isn't he? You said if he was in third, that's it. Hands it over. So it's a tall order here. I think Nick's going to want someone else to beat Lisher to the win of this race to stand a chance for this championship at this stage. 8 laps in. Still plenty to go on a 69-lap race. We've seen mistakes from a pole sitter and second place, and that's given Dirkie Swanepoel the lead of this race.
Yeah, I think Nick just needs to calm down a bit and just sort of center himself again and settle down and get on with it. Still time. We're only on lap 8 of 69. As Dirk Brand passes Hans van Beek for 7th position. But it's certainly not over for Hodgson yet.
Just looking at lap times as they cross the line, Dirkie Swanepoel was a 10th faster than Devon Lisher. Remember, Lisher's got damage on his Lambo as well, and Dirkie Swanepoel's looks factory fresh. So, it's really in a good opportunity here to put the cat amongst the pigeons and sneak a victory in Division 1. Going to be the winner of this race and the person that makes the least mistakes. It's these fast tracks, flowing tracks, where you just go and push a little bit wide, put a wheel on the grass, and you're in trouble.
So we've got the 3 SRC cars in the top 3. So team principal Peter Geldenes will be very happy about what's happened so far. And followed by Adrian Govender, they're in 4th position.
But Mayer and Rue have had a spin. I was just on them at the time. No, I think it's Hunter. Hunter's got dropped back. Again, turn 5. I'm telling you, there's going to be mistakes all evening in turn 5. Moss Corner is a nightmare. The amount of times I've spun there. Very, very difficult, that corner. And yeah, so we've got Hunter's dropped right back now into 16th place.
Yeah, and we have Melbourne Coast, who's retired from this race too. Our second retiree already by lap 10.
Yeah, what happened to Alan Patterson? I didn't see.
Yeah, he had an off, I think. He had a big spin into the wall. He wins.
Too much damage and had enough. That's unfortunate. Kieran Patterson, though, still doing well in 5th position. Still got a clean looking Audi, so he's managed to keep himself out of trouble.
Hodgson up into 9th now to put a move on the Mercedes-Benz of Henry Roux.
Yeah, I chop around looking for other fights, and then as soon as I come back, Nick Hodgson's gained another place, so he's definitely the man on the move at the moment. And as I cut to him, he goes wide on turn 5 again. Doesn't lose the car though. He definitely would have lost time there, but he went completely off circuit. Can't emphasise how hard that corner is. I definitely, if you've not driven Mosport, take an F3 car around here and then try and keep it quick round turn 5. Very, very difficult, that double apex. It's got massive curbs on it as well, so you can't clip the curbs because that sends you around even quicker.
Contact there between Mashingo and McGear. McGear keeps the McLaren pointing in the right direction.
Very good looking Porsche though, isn't it?
Ooh, and Leach is into the wall. Oh, he's come back across the circuit. And Zarnik Klingon able to avoid contact. Actually, that Porsche is heavily damaged.
Yeah, very unforgiving circuit this. Wall's right next to the track and it's quick. When you go off, you're going off fast. And I cut to Henry Rowe and he's across the circuit and he takes a couple of drivers out with him. She goes off in the nice looking Porsche, but yeah, Henry Rowe made a mistake there and he come across the circuit and took 2 cars out with him, unfortunately. We're seeing a lot of errors this evening, aren't we, compared to normal? I cut to Mike McGear, who's got Barry Mayer going off the circuit. Barry Mayer's off on turn 5. Seems like every time I switch to a driver, they have an off. So anyone wants me to switch to a driver, let me know who. I feel too guilty now. I'm going to stay with Barry Mayer for a bit.
Turn 5 is claiming victim after victim, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so hard. It really is a difficult corner. This whole track is turn 5. It didn't have any issues anywhere else on the circuit, but turn 5, it's not easy. Go in there too quick and you can't correct it at any point. That's it. Your entry speed's really, really important. So Dirkie Swanepoel, he's loving this. He's in first place, keeping his 1.5 second gap to Devon Lisher, keeping his car clean, trying not to make a mistake. And that's critical here because the walls are going to claim some victims. So Nick Hodgson's still in 9th position. His next victim is Hannes van Beek. But he's got 5.7 seconds to claw back first, so quite a bit of a gap to make ground. I have to work out what happens if Devon Lisher finishes second, Jason, is my question. What position does Nick Hodgson require then? Top 5?
Question. We're not.
Who's good on a calculator? Devon Lisher gets second, he would have dropped, what, 3 points? That would allow Nick Hodgson a couple extra places grace, 4th or 5th position at least. Very well could be doable. Have we got 3 divisions in this for this round, or is it still just 2?
It's 2 divisions.
3 divisions, yeah. So it's a good final. 2 divisions. Oh, it's just 2 divisions. Sorry, okay. I'm sure the second quite full.
2 divisions, second division, yeah.
Yeah. So anyone racing on Wednesday evening in the chat, you can see what you've got to do, haven't you? It's not necessarily about how quick you are here. It's just about not hitting any of these walls. Don't push too much because Mosport will take its victims. It's got Nick Hodgson had a 5-second gap that's just completely and utterly disappeared because he's in 8th position already and Neil Berger's just dropped back. So Neil Berger's made a mistake somewhere. For Hodgson to gauge 6 seconds on 1 lap, and he is now... No, he wasn't. So he got Hannes van Beek. So Neil Berger was above because Nick Hodgson was tracking down Hannes van Beek already. So they've gained a place from someone else. Henry Roux is dropped to the back of the field, and he's 1 lap down. And as I cut to him, he's off the circuit again. So unfortunately, Henry's having a bit of a nightmare this evening. He's still got damage on his Mercedes to deal with as well. So Hodgson's tracking down Hannes van Beek, quite a clip, only 2 seconds now behind. Clawed 4 seconds in 2 laps. So our second place starter is really on a move here. Plenty of time left in this race and pit stops as well to gain places. If he doesn't make any more mistakes, I can certainly see him at least getting into the top 5. Just whether that's sufficient for the championship fight.
Okay, so if my maths is correct now, if Devon finishes second, then Hudson has to finish in 4th position to tie points with Nisha, and then he will win on victories. 2 victories versus 1. There we have it. So Hudson is 4 places away from the championship victory. If Felicia comes second, of course, if Felicia wins the race, and that's a different story altogether. Kieran Patterson up into 4th position after Adrian Govend making an error there. So Kieran making progress. Craig Hunton under pressure from Barry Mayer. Patterson works Audi. A mistake there as Hunter. Can Mayer take advantage? Not yet. 2 Audis running very close together. Thomas Mayer looking on the outside into turn 5. It's brave. Avoiding contact. Good driving. I'd like to ask the YouTube live chat, is the stream appearing choppy to the viewers? It seems to be fine, and then it's a bit choppy and then it comes right again. Not that smooth experience that we're normally having. This wonderful. Starting to feel the pressure now from Devon Nisha. Now from Mayer's got Craig Hunter 15th again. But yes, Nisha just 6/10 of a second behind Swanepoel. Lamborghini versus Audi. Probably just confirming that it is choppy. Sorry about that. So much I can do about it now, unfortunately. Berger's got Hans van Wyk. Van Wyk set it off. He recovers to the track in 9th position. This gap now.
We got Xander Klangon's up to 11th from the back, so it shows you how errors have cost people places here by quite a lot. Dropping down quite a lot down the field. Yeah, Lish is just 1/10 of a lap quicker every lap. He's just pulling 1/10 on Swanepoel every single lap. So at this rate, another sort of 6 laps, and he really will be right up the back of Dirkie Swanepoel.
Devon will be wanting to get on with this now. You'll notice that Hodgson's getting close to that 4th position, and Lisha's going to have to win this race, I think, if Hodgson keeps on going like he has been.
Yeah, we've got what, 40 laps to go. Yeah, it's certainly certainly in Nick Hodgson's remit to still get a podium here if he really puts the hammer down. He'll be infuriated with the mistake he made earlier on after such a consistent season. That yeah, and he's still got an opportunity here to keep his championship hopes alive. So looking at the gaps on field, the closest gap is Nick Hodgson's next victim, which is Dirk Brand, in 6th position. Only 4/10 between these guys. Obviously, it's not easy. It's not passing traffic. It's passing for position, and not easy. And the higher he goes up, the more difficult it's going to get. Thankfully, the damage on that BMW has not been enough that he's had to pit to repair it. Dirk Brand's made it easy for Nick Hodgson. Has gone wide. Leaves Nick Hodgson easy run up the inside. And that 6th place in the bag. 3 seconds now to Edwin Govender. Got to feel that it's going to be harder to track down these guys the higher up the field he goes. So on my other timing screens, I've got Nick Hodgson is 23 seconds back from our leaders. So that tells you how much he's got to gain on Devon to catch up. 23 seconds, quite significant.
Swanepoel now starting to move away from Lisha, the gap up to over a second as Hunter's past May. May's going to get it back now. Good race in between these two on lap 21.
Lisha got to within half a second, and then it sort of got Dirkie Swanepoel a bit concerned, and he's managed to stretch it, hasn't he? So gap constantly going up and down though.
So it's come right down again, Daniel, to half a second.
Yeah, all through turn 5. A slight mistake by Dirkie Swanepoel made in turn 5, and Lisha gained half a second on it.
These two coming up on traffic in the form of Craig Hunter and Barry May. They're having their own fight over 15th position, so this should be interesting. Let's go on board now with Lisha. Hunter not feeling the need to move aside just yet.
It's a difficult place to actually move aside safely, though, to be fair. As you're going down the back straight, that Mario Andretti straightway, there's you're pretty much cornering the entire time. So he's done the right thing. He's taken the inside line, got off the racing line on the very fast sweeping first corner. So a bit of traffic here, affecting our front 2 drivers, and this can play a vital role in who's going to take the lead of this race. Whether Lisha can do it in the difficult turn 5, which Swanepoel lost so much time last time out. It's not had the same effect this time though. In fact, he has a great exit out of turn 5. In the meantime, Nick Hodgson's got his gap down quite quickly. He's only a second and a half behind Edwin Govender now, hunting down 5th position.
He's had a huge spin, Daniel. He's hit the wall quite hard, Lisha.
Oh, Lisha, yes.
And he's rejoining.
So he's pushing massively to try and catch up Swanepoel.
Amazingly, he doesn't lose a position, but he's got quite a bit of damage.
Looks like the same car behind him as was in front of him. But it's a Lambo and not an Audi. Yeah, he's been off twice now, Lish, hasn't he? So he's surely got some damage. That he's going to be trying to push the best he can to get through the pit stops. So quite a lot of ebb and flow in this race, certainly towards the championship, and who's going to take it at the end of the season. So I think it's just going to be who's going to make the least amount of mistakes between Lisher and Hodgson. 2 from Lisher and 1 from Hodgson. Unfortunately, Hodgson's cost him so much time because he got stuck in the pit lane that he dropped so far back. Lisher's got relatively away with his.
And of course, Lisha does have his team principal, Holden-Jones, right behind him. So I don't think Holden-Jones is going to put too much pressure on Lisha at all. Probably helped him out a little bit by letting Lisha go in front of him after he's off. Oh, and someone's gone off there.
Car. Kieran Patterson off.
That isn't big. No,
Is it Kieran Patterson? No, it's not. It's another Patterson work.
Yeah, it's Barry Mayer.
Yeah. Alright, it's off again. That happens so much in ACC, doesn't it? You have an off, you cook your tyres, you come back on the circuit, and the very next corner you're straight off again. He's doing a bit of farming up the wall now. Maybe he's trying to get into the pit lane rather than rejoin this race. That's exactly what he's doing. Barry May's going into the pits. So Dirkie Swanepoel got himself a 10-second lead now in this race, and he hasn't made a mistake all evening. If he goes on to win this race, that is a lesson for everyone here. Consistency and not making errors is what wins you races sometimes.
Yep. I think Swanepoel's been threatening for a good result for a long time now. So in this season his driving has really come on. And,
let's not compliment him too much just yet, because we've not been particularly helpful to some drivers this evening in the commentary booth. But yeah, very well done to him with the 10 seconds. Probably got 10 more laps until we get into a pit lane battle. I think Hodgson's still lapping incredibly quickly. He's 16.9 on that last lap. He's got past Edwin Govender, so we've missed that, and he's now moving on to Kieran Patterson in his sights. We've got 6.7 seconds to claw back before he gets a go at him. But every time he comes up behind a driver, he seems to get through quickly, usually because they make an error. I think they see a very quick Nick Hodgson in their rearview mirror and seem to jump off track for him.
Yeah, I think Govender would have just helped Hodgson along, of course, being teammates. They're point blank racing. So that puts Hodgson into 5th position now. He's really staring at the championship victory now, isn't he? But just Kieran Patterson ahead of him. But Kieran Patterson's also a driver not to be messed around with. Kieran's very good at defensive driving as well. So Hodgson certainly has his work cut out. But we are only on lap 26 of 69. Plenty of time left for things to happen.
And plenty of time for some more mistakes, I think. We've definitely not seen the last person go into the wall here at Mosport Park.
Apologies for the choppy stream. I don't know why that's happening. Looks like it might be on the YouTube side. Everything is smooth as silk on my side. So
yeah, maybe an upload thing.
Holden-Jones is off. Holden-Jones is stopping. Through goes Hodgson to 4th position. And Holden-Jones down to 6th. Governed up into 5th. And Hodgson, at the moment, has won the Drivers' Championship, but we still have a long way to go. Lisha needs to get onto terms with Dirk Swanepoel if he has a shot at winning this championship.
I think Lisha just needs to get to the pit lane for his pit stop and repair, to be honest, because he's not he's not getting time back. He's slowed up a little bit, but that's understandable because his car doesn't look too healthy. So he'll be all about a very clean second stint for Devon this year, I feel. But it might not be enough of the pace that Nick Hodgson's showing this evening. He could quite very easily get up to second place with the amount of time we've got left on this this final round, and that would be enough for the championship. Now, Peter Galdenez is pitted, so that's an early pit stop, but probably repairing as well. So Mosport Park has had its victims, hasn't it? We've got a few DNFs this evening, and we're not even halfway through this race. Henry Rowe is out, Patterson out, Goose is out. So 3 drivers have found the wall one too many times here. Down to 16 cars on circuit, and still plenty of laps to go. So Peter Galdenez is the first one to pit, stays on mediums obviously, on lap 27. Got a long way to go on his second stint. So at the moment we've got some reasonable gaps between everyone. Nick Hodgson's just trying to close in his time to Kieran Patterson. Well, we've got some gaps. I'm sure you want to say a farewell to Assetto Corsa and GT3. It served you well, Jason, over the years.
Yeah, certainly. I think our first race was in October 2014. And yeah, we had some fantastic racing using Assetto Corsa. I think we all agree. And I think at one stage we had up to 5 divisions racing sort of over one round. And yeah, certainly, I mean, we did start with GTR2 when we started Simrace South Africa. We used that for 2 years. And then Assetto Corsa came along, this simulator made by Kunos, sort of developers who came up with the NK Pro racing as well. And yeah, I sort of looked at this and thought, I think we're going to go this way all those years ago. And I have not regretted it one single bit.
No, it's been a brilliant. It's done exactly what you need for a league sim, hasn't it? What with the skins, yeah. Still very, very good as well. If it wasn't for ACC, you'd still be using it, I'm sure. Yeah. But yeah, it's been extremely competitive as well. There's some great champions for over the years. Some very, very hard driving. Always been a bit of a pinnacle of GT3.
Yeah. No, certainly it served its purpose well as the sort of pinnacle league at Simrace South Africa, as the GT3 Championship. And, yeah, I think we're not over. We're not finished using Assetto Corsa. Of course, we'll be using it for the simGP series next season, from what I understand, unless Ryan has other ideas.
No, I'm sure he will. I mean,
yeah.
For that, I can't think of a better sim really, and it's still got a place as for trying out the massive amount of different tracks and mods and cars, and yeah, it's the best value sim by anyone getting into sim racing. It's
just amazing.
It's just a no-brainer. You've got to have Assetto Corsa installed on your computer.
Yeah, it's all the mods that have been developed for it as well. Content Manager. And the custom shader patches, and
it's not slowing down either, is it? It's just relentless.
It's actually accelerating. I've got this feeling.
Yeah, everyone's coming up with their versions of all sorts of cars. Obviously, some brilliant, some not so good, but that's what's great. They're all free. So yeah, so very, very good.
Yeah, just the quality of the mods too. I mean, the cars made by Race Sim Studio are just incredible. The detail, the way the cars handle. And,
yeah, those guys are going to get snapped up. They won't be making mods for very long. They'll be working for a developer in no time, I'm sure. I can't see that any other way, to be honest. You make as good a content as that, you get noticed. Of course, we use a few quality of life things, don't we? We've got, after only a few races, the replay function of ACC and the weather. Everyone knows my love of weather. If they could bring weather to AC, we'd keep it for years.
Although there is talk of bringing rain to AC, I'm not sure
It'll happen,
how far that's come along just yet.
Just for a spectator sport and commentary booth, you can't underestimate the effects of rain. Even if it's just a few cosmetic drops and it gets everyone in a panic like we've had in the last round of our ACC championship.
Craig Hunter and James Leach in the pits now. We are approaching the halfway distance of the race. 31 of 69.
Yeah, people might choose to bring their pit stop forward a few laps just to have an opportunity to repair the car, especially if they've had a few offs. And we've got quite a few in the field with that situation. Once you know that your tyres will last in the second stint, then yeah, clawing it forward a bit. I certainly think that might be the case with Devon Lisher, because he's struggling to keep up with Dirkie Swanepoel at the moment with his damaged Lamborghini. So whether he decides to just pit a few laps before schedule and repair, we'll have to wait and see.
So Sven Best isn't saying, I'm so terrified of being in the race when it rains. Yeah, it's something different. I think it's something to be terrified about. I think it's just the sort of a feeling that you develop over time for it. And of course,
I would be terrified as a driver, but as a commentator, I just love it.
It's true.
Bring on the rain. Me and Jason, we desperately want rain, but if we're driving, that setting's going to be turned right down.
I think it's important to have a car that's set up to do rain weather as well. You want sort of a bit of an understeer car. And something that's not going to snap around on you on every corner.
You think back though, all the best F1 races these days, all of them have got weather involved, haven't they? Any classic race has got some rain shower in it somewhere, and it's just because the drivers are so consistent these days that the only way you can get a margin between them is to throw in something that is totally unexpected. So yeah, that's what does make it entertaining for spectators, at least. I'm sure on nightmare for drivers, because I've just watched Craig Hunter go straight into the wall, unfortunately, on turn one.
No, I think you've got a point that the drivers are just so good these days that they cover all the sort of known elements, and then it almost becomes clinical. So then the rain comes in, then it's an unknown factor. It just mixes everything up. I mean, and
it's exactly the same in sim racing, isn't it? We've seen consistency in GT3 the last few years in the 99% for the top 10 drivers. When you're 99% consistent, then you're too good, basically. You need something thrown at you to mix it up a bit. It is a testament to the quality of the driving, but also demonstration to how weather can change things up and knock that consistency down through no fault of your own, really, but just how you set the car up and what plays out in front of you.
Stephen Sparks making the comment there, guys. We're complaining about being tired of only doing GT3. Now everyone's excited to do ACC, but it's only a GT3 sim.
It's true, but I think it is things like the weather, isn't it, that makes it exciting.
Yes.
And different. And obviously some slightly different tracks, but I think for me personally, it really does boil down to the weather and the change in tracks and the variation you get, and how that affects drivers. We've seen drivers that were historically incredibly quick in Assetto Corsa struggled a little bit in ACC, maybe because of that. But that's maybe what's.
There's quite interesting seeing. So Essa, he struggled in the first sort of 3-4 races of ACC.
Yeah, certainly.
And then suddenly adapted, and then it clicked.
Yeah, it takes a bit of work for sure. Yeah. And we haven't had a monsoon race yet, have we? Or even a race with spray, so we've still got much to look forward to. Keeps us on the edge of our seats.
I think that's why we've seen a sort of resurgence in the simGT series too, because there is a lot of GT3 racing. And very often open up sort of watch a sim race, and if it's a GT3 race, it sort of just puts me off a little bit. I don't know. And then sort of just to see a different type of car on the circuit, like a Formula car, it's a bit more exciting now. And I think that's why we've seen sort of an uptake in the simGT series.
Yeah, everyone has their favourites, don't they? Personally, I've never been like a huge fan of GT3 driving myself. I quite enjoy watching it. I've always preferred open Formula, and in iRacing, I tend to do mostly open cockpit cars.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is a lot of there's plenty of variation in the sim world that everyone can get what they're looking for, can't they? But as a spectacle to watch, I think, and as a competitive with so many different cars, GT3 does take quite a bit of beating, or GTE racing, where you've got all the different brands and they're so close together rather than a single branded car.
No, absolutely.
But yeah, but for me, it's all about the weather in ACC. That's really got me interested again in watching a GT3 race, at least.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, GT3 will be the most popular, I think, form of sim racing for a long time to come. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's the great racing as well. As we watch Nick Hodgson, he's just left the pit lane. He's dropped down to 6th position.
He stayed on the medium tyres, which is to be expected. Nobody's changed. We've got actually James Leach and Barry Mayer on the hards randomly. That's pretty strange. In 14th and 15th position, so they have made a change. But everybody else is one-stop medium, I think, for this race. Not surprising at all with the amount of fast corners on this circuit. It's just going to cook softs. So it's if Nick Hodgson's on the mediums, then he tried everything he could to get those softs working, because he's been on those all season.
Got Dirkie Swanepoel, Devin Lisher and Kieran Patterson in the pit lane. So Lisher will be looking for a good pit stop here.
And he'll be looking forward to a repaired car as well, that's for sure. And he has. A much...
Hodgson through the final corner.
So I've got Devin Lishan's car bodywork doesn't look repaired on my side. I hope he remembered to set that in his pit setup.
And Hodgson has moved up into 3rd position. Look at that. He's past Kieran Patterson in their pit stop phase.
If Hodgson didn't make that mistake into the pit wall, he would have ran away with this race, wouldn't he? He's been hot ever since. It's just totally overcooked it, and where he crashed and got stuck, unfortunately, it cost him basically the whole grid. He's worked his way all the way back into a podium position. Sass, our commentary cars are actually safety cars. Just listening to the chat, but me and Jason aren't good enough safety car drivers to take them out on circuit. So we tend to park them in the pit lane and just leave them there. I did actually do a few laps in the safety car this afternoon, just to check it out on the server. It's terrible. It really isn't very good. It's not a good car at all. It doesn't feel like it's got brakes on it. So yeah, I wouldn't feel comfortable leading these fast guys in what is effectively a Mercedes road car.
Yeah, I think the thing about sim racing is so used to driving racing cars, they're made to go corners fast and do nothing else really. Then you jump into a road car in a simulator and it just feels totally soft and useless.
Yeah, it feels worse than my own car.
Exactly,
really
yeah.
I think I did 132 in it round here.
Yeah, this will be quite interesting in the Solidarity E-Race, this Nordschleife affair they're calling it. And they're basically using a whole lot of road cars in the competition.
There's going to be some written off fast cars.
Yeah, so it's going to be quite interesting, I think, to see everyone try and adapt from normally driving a race car.
I think maybe the organisers should have just done a few laps before. They've got the Zonda R. The Zonda R is basically a race car, so it's not too bad. and they got the McLaren GTR. It's the Porsche 918 Spider that I really don't think they've driven before, especially on the Nordschleife. That thing's going to be horrific. But yeah, we'll see how that goes for round 3 of that series.
So I think it's been quite interesting to watch to see how everybody gets on, and it's quite a big unknown. I mean, we sort of know who the fastest GT3 sim racing drivers in the country are, but we don't know who's going to win this one, I don't think.
No, and I think who qualifies first they're doing the BMW race car for the qualifying, aren't they? Who qualifies first in that will not necessarily be the guy that's quickest in the race by any stretch of the imagination.
The cars that are coming up are completely different.
Just not the same. The BMW will be way quicker than the Porsche, I'm sure.
So it's going to make for some interesting racing, and anybody who's interested in racing in the competitions, it's actually being done in Assetto Corsa, the simulator we're running now, using the Nordschleife track, of course. The Nordschleife version is an actual standard version of the Nordschleife.
We're there. Can we just quickly cut to Edwin Govender and Neil Berger? They got an incredibly close fight for 5th position. And then, sorry, carry on.
There we go. And, so Govender's right next to Neil Berger now. It's point blank racing against Patterson Works, 2 Audis. And Govender's got Neil Berger just like that, the number 2 car. Oh, we've got someone up in front of us. That's Craig Hunter, I think. Yes, in the 28, doing a bit of drifting on the grass there.
Yeah, very good pass there by Edwin Govender to move up into 5th position.
And Hunter's decided he's had enough of this race and he's left the server. So it's a 4th retirement of the evening.
And we got Nick Hodgson right up behind Devon Lisher as well by half a second. So he's clawed himself all the way from the back of the field to where he was at the start of this race. Incredibly good drive from Nick Hodgson this evening, barring the error obviously, but he could still salvage this, you know. So sorry, Jason, we interrupted you there. If people want to join the Solidarity race, they can sign up.
Yeah, they can sign up. They can go to the website solidarityerace.co.za, and I think it's 100 Rand to enter.
But there's big prize money at stake,
there's
isn't there?
70,000 Rands worth of prize money for grabs.
Oh, that
along
gets
with
you
various prizes. A data prize with some extremely quick internet speeds, just after Essa, after you won that in the last competition.
Right, okay. Essa's going to clean up this season, isn't he?
Yes, yeah.
He's going to have a very upgraded household, I would imagine.
Yeah.
But that's enough to make you practice the Nordschleife in a Porsche 918 Spider, a car that you've probably never taken round there. Not seriously, anyway.
I think the Solidarity race is trying to be something different, trying to not sort of follow the norm, I suppose. And it should be an interesting competition either way. So
I'll keep in the sidelines and wait until they do an F3 race in iRacing, and then I'll be like signing up. Take my money. But in the meantime, I think I'll watch the Nordschleife in a Porsche because that's how I would struggle there. I'm telling you now. So closest gaps are, I've just seen Peter Geldenez pass Neil Berger, who went off the circuit again on turn 5. It's turn 5 that's the errors this evening, as expected. So Peter Geldenez moves up to 6th position. So the shortest, the tightest gap on circuit is Nick Hodgson versus Devon Lisher. And this really is for the AC title for GT3 this season between these two.
Because Nick really doesn't have to do anything. He can just sit into the end. And
I don't think that's going to be enough for Nick.
Championship
I
is
think
his.
Race.
The question is, does he know that? Has he worked that out? Doesn't matter to him. That's not the question. Or
the only way you know for sure is if you finish in front of the guy that is against you, you're going to win. So I think he's going to be. He's not going to be content with sitting behind Devon Lisher here. He's going to be pushing. If you imagine if Nick Hodgson gets past and tracks down Dirkie Swanepoel, what a drive. I think he's going to run out of time. Dirkie Swanepoel's had a fantastic race.
Yes.
can it just be said, he has had a brilliant race. We didn't pick him at the start, but he's lapping quickly. 1:16.6 he's just gone through. See what Lisha comes through as. 1:16.7. He's doing everything he needs, Dirkie Swanepoel, to win this race. He's not put a foot wrong. He hasn't been into the wall like the rest of them. Fantastic drive so far. See whether he can keep it up for another 20 laps. So if Nick Hodgson's learned anything this evening, he doesn't need to put anything more than a lot of pressure on Devon Lisha and just sit there. Unless there's a clear-cut opportunity, you don't move off your line here at Mosport, otherwise you're going to have a mistake. You keep going around and you keep making sure you're tight up behind the braking zone of turn 5 and you're just waiting for an error in turn 5, basically. In 20 laps it'll come. You're not going to go round turn 5 20 times perfectly. And Neil Berger's back in the pit lane, so repairing damage again, I believe. Another Patterson Works car. Had a bit of misfortune for the Patterson Works team this evening, but we've got Kieran Patterson going very, very well in 4th position. A bit of a mixed bag for that team.
Bit of a slide there for Lisha, hangs on to it. But these two are coming up to some traffic. I think that's Neil Berger, Daniel, who you just mentioned.
He's just come out of the pit lane, so... I'm surprised Lisha didn't repair his Lambo. Doesn't look... Or maybe he repaired suspension and didn't repair bodywork, but... On my screen, he's still showing a damage. You've got Neil Berger going wide. Gets out the way of these two drivers.
Good job.
It's a mod version of Canadian Motorsport, but I have to say, it's done an incredibly good job of it. The scenery and graphics and the detail that they've added is probably better than the iRacing version, and that's $15. So, very well done to those guys. Lisha will be feeling the pressure now of that BMW. Constantly behind him, it's not going anywhere within half a second. Definitely don't want to be looking in your rearview mirror as you go into the braking zone here into turn 5 though. Hodgson sent up the inside. He's taken Lisha out.
Drama.
That was there wasn't a gap there for Nick Hodgson. He tried to go up the inside of turn 5 and it just wasn't there, I'm afraid.
I think he just lost the car and then hit the bump and up he went.
Yeah, he was late on the brakes, and that double apex turn 5 is not really a passing opportunity, only if there's an error. I don't think that would Lisha would be expecting there. He waited for Lisha to rejoin, so we're back as we were in 2nd and 3rd place. It's just who's got the most damage, I think. Well, I expected a few mistakes at turn 5, it had to be said at the start of this race, but I didn't quite expect the amount that we've seen. We've seen most drivers at some point during this race make an error there. I think Nick might have got the rough end of that deal, which he's dropping back and struggling to keep with Devon Lisha. To be fair, Lisha knew nothing about it. It wasn't his fault, so maybe a little bit of justice there. And that, I mean, that's put this win into Dirkie Swanepoel's hand now. It's his to throw away. He's got a 20-second lead in first position with 24 laps remaining. So he can afford to lose a second a lap, basically, for the rest of his race. And he's got a car that looks absolutely rolled straight out of the factory. He's been super, super clean.
He's looking very confident, just wonderful. Just the way he's driving the car around, very smooth. He's really got the car very well set up.
In some ways, though, this is the difficult part. You look on your Delta, you've got a 20-second lead, you've got 20 laps, your palms start sweating, you've got a Division 1 win in front of you. You think, I can't possibly lose it here as you go straight on in turn 5. So hopefully he can just keep a cool head, continue doing what he's doing, and bring this one home.
Watches back with Lisha now.
In the meantime, Hodgson's managed to shake off his damage and claw right back into within half a second of Devon Lisha. As we said, Nick's pushing and pushing, but he doesn't need to. Third position is completely fine for the championship. He's not going to win this race now. So it's all about the championship result. This is a battle that's destined to go right to the end of this season between these two drivers. Not much separated them whatsoever. Yes, Ash in chat, I can highly suggest not drinking and driving, both in real life, obviously, but also sim driving. Every time I've ever jumped in the simulator after having a couple of drinks, lap time's not what you think they are. Even though you might think you're the best driver in the world, the lap time delta always shows that that's not the case. But yeah, quite good to show you that it's not a good idea to drink and drive in real life if you can't even do it in a simulator. So I think Nick Hodgson might have learnt his lesson now, and this is not a passing opportunity in turn 5. Not going to try and send up the inside. But he's going to have to pick his places because they're so evenly matched, these two, that nowhere else on the circuit you have such a severe braking zone, which is obviously usually where you would try and make a move. This circuit's more about drafting, staying super, super close and trying to draft your way past. But in Assetto Corsa, the drafting effect is not as strong as other sims, so that's why we're seeing it so difficult to pass, I think, here this evening. Really, really close now, 2/10. Hodgson takes a slightly different line through turn 2, Clayton corner. All very, very quick, these big sweeping corners. Quebec corner coming up to the kink of turn 4 into a corner that's caught everyone out this evening, turn 5. very, very difficult double apex Moss corner into the Mario Andretti straightaway. That comes up to the S's, and every circuit known to man has got a set of corners called the S's, it seems. Can't design a circuit without them. Then we got quite a steep braking zone actually into the final corner, turn 10, White's corner, before we cross the line to a very, very short start-finish straight. Not much time to breathe at all on a lap round here at Mosport. So I think Nick Hodgson just needs to be super patient. He's still got 19 laps to go. Right up behind Devon Lisher. He'll be keen to make a move just for satisfaction, even though he's unlikely to win this race now. As I say that, these two are tracking quickly because Dirkie Swanepoel's lost quite a substantial 8 seconds of his lead. He's now only 12 seconds to Devon Lisher. But should still be sufficient, I would think, bar a mistake. I think Nick Hodgson may be pushing Devon Lisher along a bit and tracking down Dirkie Swanepoel in first place. He's just got to be patient and wait for a mistake from Lisher, a wide line here that can actually give him a passing opportunity. Definitely can't force it on this circuit. There's just nowhere. There's just no way you can do it. Just cut to Dirkie Swanepoel, and he's gone very, very wide and off the circuit into turn 5, so even he's not immune to that very, very difficult corner. Probably lose him a little bit of time on this lap. Yeah, he can drop half a second at least there. So he's just feeling a little bit uncomfortable in his cockpit, will Dirkie Swanepoel. Looking at that relative, he's got his relative screen on his dashboard and he sees his 20-second lead is now down to 12 and under. And yet there's still 17 laps remaining. Can't really afford to make any mistake. One big error and that'll be the end of his winning opportunity. With these two quick drivers in Devon Lisher and Nick Hodgson tracking them down. So certainly not going to see Nick make another move into turn 5 this evening, I don't think, because Devon will be a little bit upset with the past. Didn't actually cost him too much, apart from the fact that they would have been right up behind Dirkie Swanepoel now without that coming together into turn 5 quite a few laps ago.
Yeah, I think it's quite interesting just to look at a replay at that and see what happened. So we're on board with Hodgson. I think Nick was just trying to send it, but it wasn't there to be sent. He licked the stamp and posted the letter. And Devon knew nothing about it and took his normal line and just got completely rear-ended. But they're so evenly matched. I mean, we've been following Nick for quite a few laps now, but they're so evenly matched, these two, that
Nick's come up against a bit of a brick wall looking for a pass. Without a mistake from Devon, who's a very consistent driver on the best of times, he just got to make sure his car is right up tucked behind him, got a car off in front. I think that's Craig Hunter. Yeah, Craig Hunter's off into turn 5. He's been off into turn 5 a few times this evening. And we've got another car there as well. A Lambo. That Xander Klingen's off. He's got himself beached, unfortunately. Back on circuit. But yeah, the gap there is really, it's all about Nick Hodgson and Devon Lisher for the end of this race. Who's gonna take this second place? And will Devon make a mistake in these closing laps and allow Nick Hodgson a sniff of an opportunity? I think Nick will take it. So to give guys a bit of a rundown of Mosport, we've got the record time for a GT3 car around here was IMSA Porsche 911, and they did it at 1:13.5. So we're a little bit off those times this evening on the sim world. So that's a very, very, very quick time. The lap record for this track is an Audi R10 TDI in a 1:04 dead. So very, very quick lap time.
Very different machinery to a GT3 car, of course.
Yeah, very, very different. And obviously we had Formula 1 on this circuit for 10 years, between 1967 and 77. And the last winner in 77 was Jody Scheckter. So that's a good way to finish, isn't it? Have a South African on the top spot as we left Formula 1 here. And I've seen here, Jody Schecter's car, if anyone wants to see it, is in the Franschhoek Motor Museum. It's usually always on display. Very, very worth a visit. Obviously when you're allowed to go there, maybe not this week. But yeah, Jody Schecter's car is on display for all to see by, I think, who owns that? Rothschild. Rupert owns it, and it's very, very nice museum in Franschhoek. Always worth a visit. I've popped in there so many times. Got so many cars that these barns are changing constantly, but the Jody Scheckter car is always on display. I think it's one of his prized possessions. So it's great. Apart from obviously the unfortunate incident we had between these two drivers, Lisher and Hodgson, it's been superb driving for the last 10 or so laps. Very, very little separating them. 2 or 3 tenths at best. But Hodgson's had a great drive. He had that very unfortunate error. It dropped him so far back from the field, but to fight his way back up onto a podium spot is a very, very good drive. I'm going to stop now because last time I was complimenting Nick Hodgson when he ran into the field.
Yes, it's interesting thing, Swanepoel, he's only 10 seconds ahead of these two guys. He's lost, 10 seconds? He was 20 odd seconds ahead.
Yeah, he did. He had an error and he dropped 8 seconds, but it was sort of 12 seconds about 6 or 7 laps ago, so the gap's not, it's stabilised somewhat. I was a little bit worried for Dirkie Swanepoel for a while, but as we get closer and closer, he's yeah, we didn't quite catch what happened, but I feel he must have made an error to drop quite a few seconds in one go. No damage on his Audi. Did see him run wide on turn 5, it lost him about a second. Yeah, 12 laps remaining and he's got 11 seconds, so he's back to a sort of second a lap grace period. Certainly his race to lose at this point, that's for sure. Kieran Patterson's had a pretty good race this evening in 4th place, going around on his own really. Not much to talk about. He's got a massive gap back to Edwin Gumder of 19 seconds. And yeah, Hodson caught him, passed him, and apart from that, he's just been a man on his own, really. So the rate we're going, it looks like Nick Hodson's just going to end up glued to the back of Devon Lisher until they get to the finish line.
Well, Dirkie Swanepoel's falling right back again, Daniel. He's just a second ahead of Lisher and Hodson.
Yeah, what on earth happened then?
But a bent rear wing as well.
No. I said, oh, he's hit the wall, hasn't he, somewhere?
I think so. I think they might have
it was his race to lose and he can't throw it away.
Yeah, and he's really slow as well, so he's bleeding time now.
Yeah, Lisher's going to happen. Obviously, if Lisher passes Dirkie Swanepoel, it means that Nick Hodson also has to pass him.
Now, what are SRC going to do here? Is Dirkie going to fight? Okay, through goes Lisher up the inside. Hodgson's going to follow him.
Yeah, rear wing is damaged Swanepoel, hasn't he? He struggled immensely through that second corner.
Breaking stuff here for Dirkie Swanepoel. This was his moment.
Yeah, he had a 20-second lead, and all he needed to do was just stay consistent. We said that that's very difficult to do. When you've got it, it's so easy to lose that time. Yeah, so gutting for Dirkie Swanepoel that he finds himself in the third position. Hopefully he can at least stay there to claim a podium. So now this battle that we've got between Nick Hodson and Devon Lisher is no longer for second place, it's for the win of this race. As we started, and yet we're 59 laps in, and it's only now that we've got back to our front two drivers being in their rightful positions from qualifying.
So Henry Ridge is commenting there, it doesn't matter where Nick ends, you'll have to give him the Z4 GT3 as a going away present, Jason. He's stuck with it for 3 years now.
I think it's more than 3 years.
More, yeah, I think it's 5.
Yeah.
Or more.
That's lost a lot of its used value, that car. It's done so many laps, I'm telling you. It's a Z4 GT3 car with 100,000 Ks on it.
There's not one original part left on the body.
No. It's got through 4 steering wheels.
I just want Hodgson to win because I picked him out as the winner before we started the race.
Oh, this is true. Yeah, this is a vital time for me and Jason. Come on, Lisher. Come on.
Come on, Nick. Validate my expertise.
Let me have one win this season. Come on, Lisher. In some ways, if Lisher wins and Hodgson comes second, they're both winners, you see. But Hodgson has not been able to make a pass on Lisher all evening, safely at least. So with only 8 laps remaining, Lish has got to keep his car as wide as possible. And very wary of Nick Hodgson into the braking zone in turn 5. Zdeki Swanepoel has not dropped significantly back. He should be able to keep his 3rd place. But yeah, gutted for him. He had the win in the bag, didn't he? See, Jason's taking the last opportunity in Assetto Corsa to use as many camera positions as he possibly can through the stream.
It's the magic F6.
Yeah, that's a good one. If you can see the BMW, it means it's underneath the rear wing, and it really is close if you can see the badge.
Oh, Nick's made a mistake.
Yeah, he's weaving around a little bit.
Big understeering moment.
That was the exact corner that he went off into the wall as well. So he got the tail loose. He caught it this time. At the start of the race, that cost him 16 positions. He's had to fight his way all the way back up into 2nd place. Right at the back of the field, basically, was Nick Hodgson from that era. Caught into the pit entrance wall. Lisher 2 has not had a clean race by any stretch of the imagination. 2 fundamental errors from Devon Lish has cost him quite a lot of time. But it was that one big one from Nick Hodgson that was the real pace killer. He goes wide on turn 5 as well. So easy to go super wide there. Seen every driver do it, basically.
Yeah, so seeing Devon Lish and Nick Hodgson into 1st and 2nd positions now, they are tied for points. But as Nick Hodgson, I think I mentioned this before, as Nick Hodgson won 2 races, and no, in fact,
Lish as well?
Yeah, Lish is going to win 2 races as well. Okay, so now I'm not quite sure who's won the championship.
Do we flip a coin?
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say, because this will be Lish's 2nd win,
Yes,
won't it?
so
And Nick's had 2.
Of course, yeah. So they're tied on Drivers' Championship points, tied on victories. So we've got to
get the rule book out. What
second
happens?
places now. So Hodgson
both
has
had
got
2 of
one. Okay, so
He'll have
Hodgson
2 now.
will have 2 now if it finishes like this, 2nd places.
Yeah,
Because he had 1 at
Devon
Kyalami, and Devon has got 1.
also 2.
Also 2. Oh my God. Okay.
Because Devon had 1 drop race. Devon's drop race was worse, but yeah, he had 2. He'll have 2 first, 2 seconds. What happens next?
Okay, so 3rd position now. So let's see where we are now. Nick.
Well, they haven't. They've had 2
Nick
first and
doesn't
2
have
seconds.
a 3rd position. Devon Lisher has a 3rd position.
But that would be his drop round, won't it?
No. Devon's drop round is his. Wait, no.
They'd have 2 firsts and 2 seconds each. That's 4 rounds out of the 5. So I mean, they're going to have to do a hot lap qualifier or something on Wednesday to see who wins the championship.
Okay, this is interesting.
Presumably the drop round's just completely ditched.
No, Lish's 3rd position place is actually for an ACC round, so it doesn't count for this championship. Sure. Okay.
Maybe we can have suggestions in chat. How do we pick the winner of the Assetto Corsa Championship? If both drivers have both won 2 races, come 2nd in 2 races.
So whoever's finished the best position in that last race.
Henry reckons we should vote, but I think that might exactly.
Because of the drop round, they actually tied all around. Exactly.
Yeah,
you're quite right.
I think we let both of them be champions. I mean, what can you do? Or we tune in for a hot round qualifying between these drivers, because how else can you split them? So what we're saying is there's 5 laps remaining in this race, and Nick Hodgson, he needs to get in front of Devon Lisher.
Yeah, please. Otherwise, I'm not sure what you're going to do.
Yeah, I suspect he knew that more than we did at the start of this race. It is that close.
It could be. That's why he's pushing like he is.
He's been pushing all
That's
race.
why that error came when he was trying to force the issue into turn 5 because he was pushing that hard.
Yeah, tried to send it. He licked the stamp. He sent it. That was a Daniel Kvyat torpedo moment of note, that was. But thankfully, we're still finding ourselves in a position where they're still fighting with only 4 laps to go. Most poles. That's a good one. Most pole positions. That's going to be like 2 weeks as well, is it? We had Lisher get pole this evening. We had Nick get pole the last 2 races. Who got pole race 1? I haven't got that available. I think that would be the logical, not knowing who's got the most poles, that would be qualifying position, possibly. 1v1 on CSGO is just ridiculous game. Yeah, they're so good at sim racing that we need to go to a completely different game entirely. Yeah, Langeveld had a pole in race 1. So that would put the advantage of Nick Hodgson with 2 poles, I think. Did you get? I think Nick got 2 poles. He got a Patterson Works car completely running wide there.
This is just amazing, really.
Yeah, I don't think you've had a series quite this close, have you? Have you ever had to pick one out of the hat?
This is the closest that we've ever had.
See, I called Devon all evening, see, so I'm quite confident. I'm not really that confident because Nick's really, really close right now. 3 laps to go. Will there be a mistake? I feel like it's going to be a mistake rather than an epic pass.
Yeah, I can't say he's going to be champion if it stays now. It's going to have to be looked at afterwards. So there we have it. So it would be greatly appreciate if these 2 had to swap positions now. That's a lot of work.
Just about to say, you really want your prediction to come true.
Should
just
I go /kick?
Yeah. A disconnect would be handy about now, just for you. 2 laps remaining of this race. 2 drivers separated by nothing all season. And looks like they'll finish the season not separated if it carries on. Will Nick Hodgson send it one more time into a corner that I've not yet discovered?
We need a streaker to run onto the track now.
See, guys, we need rain. That's what this race needs. Lisher just went a bit sideways on the exit turn 5 there. Not enough of a mistake, but Hodgson very, very close. The draft's not quite enough in AC, unfortunately. It doesn't have enough of an effect. In other sims, I would hasten a guess that Nick would have drawn up quite tight here going into the S's. Martin calls Nick driver of the day. You could argue both ways though, couldn't you, Nick? I would agree with you that Nick Hodgson has definitely been driver of the day, clawing his way back from very, very low down. But he made the mistake to get him there, didn't he? So it's difficult. Both of these 2 drivers have been exceptional today. In the second half of the race, at least.
Oh, back marker could mix things up. Oh, that was close.
Yeah, Sander Klingon in the Lambo, isn't it? Should put a big blade underneath that Lamborghini because he's cut a bit of grass this evening, I'm afraid. Could have got paid by the track circuit. Nick Hodgson's trying different lines in turn 5. Why not? He's running out of time. He's only got 2 more passes through turn 5. So we can't congratulate the winner of the championship because we don't know who it is.
And mix up try and put together the qualifiers and just see.
Last minute stress for Jason as he frantically works out who got the most poles. I think Nick got 2 poles. In the last 2 rounds, did Nick Hodgson get pole? See, Lisha had this round. Peter Geldenez took a great pole position. I remember that. Then obviously do you count the drop round? You got to dish the drop round for that. So I might have got a pole position, but if it ends up being your drop round, it doesn't help you out. Super tight Nick Hodgson into turn 5. In fact, he's cooked it a little bit and goes wide. I think he knew that was his last opportunity. The final lap of this race now. Down the Mario Andretti straightaway into the S's. There's no opportunity here for Nick Hodgson to take a pass. Devon Lisher is coped with the pressure unbelievably well through the second half of this race. Got completely and utterly rear-ended into Moss corner once. But since then, it's been exceptional driving. He's going to come around the last corner. My pick from the start is going to win this last round. The last round of the GT3 Championship in Assetto Corsa goes to Devon Lisher, closely followed by an incredible drive from Nick Hodgson after his early error. Put him right back at the field. I think these two will be proud of that drive. They'll be upset with the mistakes for sure, but it was exceptional driving at the end. Dirkie Swanepoel, how unfortunate it was. He had such a big lead. But he still gets a podium position, 3rd place, so well done to him. Kieran Patterson finishes in 4th position. Edrin Govender coming round now to take 5th place. Dirk Brown, we didn't see too much of him. Still out on circuit for 6th place. On the lead lap, which is always good. Followed very closely actually by Peter Geldenez in 7th. Only half a second between these two drivers for 6th and 7th. And we've got a whole load of Patterson Works drivers in Neil Berger in 8th position doing donuts at the end of the first corner. Mike McGear in 9th. Hannes van Veek finishes out the top 10. So sadly, that's the end of GT3 with Assetto Corsa. We will look forward to AC with our GP series though, and I'm sure that will continue. But in the meantime, we'll move on to Assetto Corsa Competizione for our GT3 racing, and we've still got the last round to look forward to of that in this season. And hopefully we'll have some rain. Jason's still frantically trying to work out who's won the Drivers' Championship.
Yes, at the moment it is Devon Lisher who's got 2 pole positions, and
2 as well.
Nick Hodgson doesn't have any pole positions from what I can see.
So Devon Lisher has clinched the last
to be
AC.
confirmed, but yes, that is how it is looking like now.
Well, congratulations to Devon Lisher. Yeah. He did very well to claw that back, but 2 pole positions.
Yeah. Just amazing that we have to go down to pole positions to win the Drivers' Championship. That's just absolutely incredible.
A brilliant way to end. Brilliant way to end.
And really just wraps up the Assetto Corsa era of the championship nicely with something special like that. So, yeah, fantastic. And of course, this was just the Division 1 race this evening. We had the Division 2 race on Wednesday evening. I think we have sort of 2 or 3 slots still available for that race. So if you want to race in that, please let me know as soon as possible. And yeah, thanks for everybody for watching this evening. Fantastic stream. Big thank you to Daniel as well for joining me.
Yeah, thanks guys. We'll see you for ACC in a couple of weeks' time. But there's also the GP next week, I believe.
Yeah, that's it. All right, guys. All the best until then. Goodbye.